What famous person did horrible things that people largely forgot about? Boy George abducted and tortured a man in 2007. Soulja Boy beat a pregnant woman into having a miscarriage. Floy Mayweather beat the shit out of his former girlfriend, and got away with it because the judge allowed him to train for a fight he was headlining. Jack Nicholson beat a prostitute that he hired to the point of irreversible brain damage. Cheryl Cole beat the living daylights out of a toilet attendant. Leto. Bro really raped and sexually assaulted underaged girls, and so much people act like he's done nothing wrong. Not even any deal or movie drops. He's still consistently hired all around, and it's the dumbest shit in the world. Vince Neil only got 30 days and he killed somebody. Philip Burke, film industry executive, journalist, and film critic, sexually assaulted Brendan Fraser, and his defense was, it was in jest, not sexual intent, which then he got off for it. Had any of us used that defense, we would have been buried under the jail. John Travolta sexually assaulted several young men, and has seemingly faced no repercussions from this. At this point, asking which famous person didn't do horrible things is probably a shorter list. The Marcos family in the Philippines. They're back in power after cleverly gaming the May 2022 presidential elections. They systemically looted the country for 2 decades and initiated a policy of exporting Filipinos to other countries as slaves. The Philippines never recover. Travis Scott essentially leaving his manager for dead in the studio. His loyal ex-manager, who suffered from seizures, had one while Travis was with him. Travis abandoned him while it was happening and went home, then texted him firing him a day later saying, "I can't have a manager who's shaking on the ground and shit." The lack of empathy continued with Astroworld. Travis Scott and his Astroworld event that killed multiple people while he told everyone to put their middle fingers up to the ambulance that was trying to save the dying people. The lobotomy of Rosemary Kennedy. I know it's not really a single celebrity, but I don't ever see it talked about. Outrage. Oh, didn't Caitlyn Jenner hit and kill someone with her car? Charlie Chaplin had multiple affairs with teenage girls and was accused of sexually abusing them. Coco Chanel. Tom Cruise. Scientologist. Apparently once his teenage niece kissed a boy at a party at the family house. He expelled her from the family for 2 years and forced her to live with Scientologist friends of his. She had to write a huge essay for him detailing all she had done to atone for her sins. I watched an ex-Scientology guy talk about it on the YouTubes. Ted Kennedy. Left a young woman to drown in his car. No consequences. Jared Leto needs to be exposed. He's a cult leader and a pedo. How is he still working? I read some comments and to my surprise didn't see Alfred Hitchcock, who repeatedly abused actresses he worked with. Tom Cruise helped the Church of Scientology when they caused the wrongful death of one of their members, Lisa McPherson. Cruise was used to woo politicians in Florida just as the church was being indicted for the abuse committed against Lisa, and later the charges were dropped. Not sure if anyone's mentioned it on the thread yet, but there's a podcast called Behind the Bastards that's this exact premise, talking about famous people who are actually giant pieces of garbage. They back everything up with research and span all sorts of dictators, grifters, fake doctors, etc. Caitlyn Jenner killed a woman, and then won Woman of the Year, the same year. Still cracks me up. Paul Walker has entered the chat, so has a significantly younger girlfriend. He was 33 and she was 15 if I recall. Feel free to look it up. The Kennedy family sent their sister Rose off to live in a mental hospital in Wisconsin after she was lobotomized, and it basically made her regress to about the temperament of a preteen girl. They didn't ever visit her either. Steve sociopath Jobs. He berated his daughter for being born to his mistress, refused to install heating in her bedroom, reiterated she isn't getting a penny of his $400 million fortune, then told her she smelled like a toilet on his deathbed. I hope she's an avid Samsung consumer. Stamos, from Full House, admitted to leading on a drunk fan and having his buddy sneak into the room to have his way with her. She thought she was hooking up with Stamos. I think that's considered rape. Dr. Dre beat up a woman. Roman Polanski. The guy still gets awards and has to be careful about going because there's still an arrest warrant for him from California. The complaint against him gives graphic details about what he did, don't want to repeat them here. He is revered in many movie circles. AMD, they totally ignore his terrible past. Brothers John and Alan Dulles, which both Dulles, Virginia and Dulles International Airport are named after, are pretty flocked up individuals. Nearly every US-backed coup d'etat during the 50s, 60s, and 70s was their doing. Their scorched earth policy despite the communists killed millions around the world and put millions more under brutal dictatorship. This is just scratching the surface. Jimmy Page in 1972, when he was 28, began a relationship with 13-year-old Lori Maddox. The relationship lasted about 3 years, and Maddox claims that the relationship began as a kidnapping by Led Zeppelin's manager. This was at the height of Led Zeppelin. Just got reminded today Colin Powell helped cover up the My Lai massacre. And pretty mad at myself for forgetting. Prince Andrew. People are too focused on the American and redhead. This is for WWE fans, but Vince McMahon is literally accused of sexual assault and has paid millions to cover it up, and he has quietly reassumed charge of the company, after retiring in disgrace, with absolutely zero consequences. Cancel culture isn't real because billionaires can do what they want indiscriminately. Brett Favre ruined a woman's career. NFL didn't give 2 Fs. Sean Penn, he tied up Madonna and beat the hell out of her. Anthony Kiedis having sex with a 14-year-old girl. Woody Allen marrying his ex-wife's adopted daughter. Drake allegedly attempting to groom Millie Bobby Brown. Ben Affleck and J.Lo Gili edited for accuracy. At least 2 of the Red Hot Chili Peppers are pedophiles and or sex offenders. Drake brought a girl up from the crowd, kissed her and felt up her boobs, after finding out she was 17. This was while he was at least 23 to 24. Not to mention him giving boy advice to Millie Bobby Brown, Billie Eilish, and a handful of other weird situations. Drake is a creep. Cornelius Rhodes, first director of Sloan Kettering, killed 7 Puerto Ricans and bragged about it in a letter to colleagues. He also transplanted cancer into others in PR and was disappointed no one died. He performed race-based mustard gas experiments on 60,000 U.S. soldiers, wounding many for life. This was before his Sloan Kettering gig. He suffered 0 consequences for his actions. Literally just watched a video 2 hours ago about Quentin Tarantino defending Roman Polanski having sex with a 13-year-old girl. Gary Glitter. He used his fame to abuse youngsters and was sent to prison. He was released, but he broke his bail condition and is now back in jail. I don't think people have heard of him. His music was used in the Joker move when the Joker was walking down the stairs. He raped 2 sisters aged 8 and 12. Halle Berry apparently gets a pass for being the perp in a hit and run. J.D. Salinger was a pedophile. I watched the documentary Salinger about the author of Catcher in the Rye and was horrified at the details of his life. I'll never watch Hollywood stars and celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. Again. Kevin O'Leary and wife killed a couple on Lake Joseph with a boat. Didn't serve any time, no conviction recorded.